What is up, guys? It's Pokella. I'm here with Behi and Zay. We just started Trade Nova, so this is going to be the first video officially out, on our way to the six-figure months. And as you guys know me as, I'm a sport bettor. So I already have a successful business in sport betting, and these are my two really close friends that we've pretty much been waiting to start something like this for, but it's been contemplated for a long fucking time. So now that we finally are doing it and I have more time to focus on this, now this is going to be my second six-figure / profitable business.
Like Pokella said, instead of just doing this solo, because doing it solo is definitely difficult, but putting
that shit work, bro.
You made it work. So putting three minds together will definitely help us progress faster. And what we wanted to do with this business was pull ourselves out of our comfort zones, not only with trading, but with the way we run this business, with the way we've built this business. It's definitely out of all of our comfort zones.
And with doing things like this, it's never easy to find business partners. So if you guys ever do something like this, or with any business in general, just make sure that you guys are doing it with the correct people, because anyone will backdoor you for $10. But even knowing Behi for a long time, for a few years, I've already tested patience, I've tested, his loyalty for a long time, and we have that built up trust.
Yeah, no, we came up with this idea, believe it or not, on a trip in the swimming pool. It was just me and him, and we were swimming. It was 7 p.m. Sun was setting, and we were just I was just chilling on a floaty, and he's like, "Bro, let's start something." And I was like, "All right, let's brainstorm now." So we're just brainstorming while swimming, and it's pouring rain. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Didn't it pour for only 45 minutes?
Yeah,
and it just stopped.
And
For 45
we
minutes.
did not get out of the pool because we were so on fire. I don't know.
And the pool was heated.
The ideas were crazy.
The ideas were insane. I don't know what was going on. We're just peak flow state swimming.
Know exactly where we need to stand, and how this is going to work as a business. And that's mostly.
We did have trial and error, of course, like any other project and hobby would be. But through that trial and error, instead of being discouraged, instead of being put down by X amount of failures and, X amount of, story. Just because it's a failure moment, just because you're having a bad week, doesn't mean that it's all over for you, Even if you're struggling with one specific point in a whole project, and you think that that's going to cause it to fail, you can always turn that into a better factor for whatever you're doing.
So basically, one thing I've learned throughout, getting to where we're at, and not just us, doing this type of work for 2 weeks, but even before this is I would wake up and I would usually go straight to my phone, but lately, I would wake up and I would just sit in bed for a few hours before doing anything, and just thinking about not just a scheme, but how can I advance myself? How can I become a better person? And some days, it would fuck with my mind, and some days I could actually learn from it and understand how I felt. It's not just who you are as a person, but it'll contradict, how far you're gonna get. So that's one of the biggest and most important things that you need to have. I need to see getting into business and just doing anything in life, honestly.
What kind of rich do you want to be? Do you want to be rich where you have all this money, you have all these extra things? Or do you want to be rich in the way where, yes, you do have that, but you have the support group behind it to back you?
It's one thing to have a lot of money, and when I first started, my sport betting, I had a lot of money, so I was financially there, but my mindset was poor. So in all reality, I was poor in general, but once I switched up how I thought, it all made sense. I deserved the money that I had, because at first I wasn't using it how I should have, and the reason why I got it. And so it's even communicating with us, it was a very uncomfortable start, especially not knowing how we were gonna do business, whose role was whose, and who had say for this and who had say for that, because some of us know more than what someone else knows, right? So it's just learning who's right and who's wrong, and it's how can we all give each other constructive criticism and actually learn from it, and not just take it as this guy's attacking me, and that's why our friendship is stronger, because we can take constructive criticism and not be hurt, but actually take it to our advantage as fuel, as okay, that's what I need to fix, that'll make me a better person. you know, and that's very important in a friend, you know, because if you have friends, there's one friend that's going to tell you what you want to hear, and there's going to be one friend that's going to tell you what you need to hear, you know, and like I'm surrounded by two people that tell me what I need to hear, you know, and they support me with whatever I do, but they lay down the actual truth of like, yo, like you need to do this, you need to do that, you know, and it's not them attacking me, but it's just a personal basis of, yo, like this is how you can better yourself, and this is what I suggest. So a lot of people and a lot of friendships end because people take everything as this person is coming after my character, when it's not even like that. You know, if you just sat back and you looked at it as this person's attacking my character, but I know how to benefit off of it, then that's even easier. You know, you won't lose a friendship, and that'll turn you into a better person, and that is a beneficial friend.
Surrounding myself with these two right here, like, it's honestly helped me become a better person, you know, financially, emotionally, mentally, because like they're like my support group pretty much. Like I can come to them whenever I have like a problem, whether it's with the business, you know, they'll hop on it and try and fix it with me, and even personally, like emotionally, if I have an issue, they'll, you know, drop the best advice that they can, and yeah, having, you know, people like that is really, really important, as you've been saying. You gotta just take a long, hard look at your life and like who you spend your time with, what you spend your time doing, and you gotta change that shit around like a lot.
Yeah.
To be honest, like you're just wasting time doing stuff that's not really necessary. Cut that crap out, you know.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, like if you have to look for validation in somebody to change your life, that's where you are probably going wrong, you know. And for me, it's like I have a lot of people text me as well, like, how do I get a better mindset, or how can I cut out bad habits? And it's not about what I can tell you, because what I can tell you is a whole bunch of knowledge, but what's going to matter is how well you take that into consideration. You have to go with the common sense of knowing, like, I can't walk into any group or any door thinking I'm better than anybody, because that's where you fail, you know. And there were a lot of things, you know, like I may have 6 figures a month that I'm making, but I'll tell you what, I've learned some very valuable things from other people that I've met that's making, you know, $1,000 each paycheck. I've shooken a lot of hands, you know, with people that make literally the bare minimum, but their knowledge that they have given me has made my life so much more better. And I'm not gonna lie, one thing that a lot of people do is, you know, they drop knowledge that they don't even use. So that's the best part, is like, you know, it may sound shitty, but like taking knowledge from a hypocrite, that's the best way. And I've met a lot of people who preach what they aren't, and I've learned the most from them.
Raw faith will carry us farther than our doubts.
I need to go back on what this guy said about like, you know, talking to people and like getting advice from anybody you can. You know, I was friends with him for a really, really long time, and this guy's always been like making. I've been like friends with this guy for a really long time, and you know, as long as I've known him, he's always been making like way more money than I have, and he always gave me advice. You know, we would go out to dinner, we would go out to, you know, just drive. You know, he's always had some sort of fancy car. We'd always go out to drive, just hang out, you know, talk about life. He's always been giving me advice, but I didn't start listening to that until recently. I was just using it to tickle my ears because, like, oh, I got a rich friend. You know, if I hang out with him and if I listen to him, I'm gonna be rich like him. No, it does not fucking work like that. But I was never really. Back to what I was saying before, that fucking guy was being by. Pretty sick, you know.
He's not
Hats
locked
off
in,
to that guy.
No, but he's not locked in.
Anyway, yeah, I didn't actually start like seeing results until I actually put that work in. All that motivation that he gave me, I would actually have to apply it to my life to actually see results like he does. He still makes like 10 times what I make, but like, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, like when you hear people like this talking, you know, and like especially like what he was saying, like the motivation and like knowing like what I'm making, you know, and him like having a rich friend. The best part about this is like I have a friend that's not like envious about me, right? And that's something that you can't find. In the year and the day that we live in, we have people that get jealous over what you make, you know, and they will take any friend as competition. You know, like these are the only 2 people in my life that don't look at me as competition. They look at me as, I know that I can better myself off of his knowledge, and I know that he can gain some off of me. You know, this guy has seen me before I made that much money, you know, and like I stayed true to myself. you know, and I've always preached the word that I actually live in. You know, I never was a lie, you know, and I've always tried to make it out to my best advantage, and it's came true. Speak things into existence, you know, like tell yourself each morning like you're gonna become a millionaire, you know, you're gonna get far, you're gonna be ahead of the actual game.
You can't just like expect, you know, oh, there's a lottery, right? $1 billion. You know, I'm gonna go buy a mansion now. No, you need to pray for the resources to get there, and trust me, they will show up. If you really follow your path with God, they will show up. You know, slowly, fast. You know, it doesn't matter, but they will be there.
As much as you're leaning toward God, the devil is still gonna be there, you know, and he's forever gonna be there trying to win you over to his side and whatnot, and he will give you the easiest path. And I'm not gonna lie, like you have to like shine away from it, you know, and you know God will bless you, but it will come with a ton of trial and tribulation, and the devil's gonna test you each day, you know, and he's gonna make you want to fail, he's gonna make you want to give up, and that's completely normal and that's completely fine. Okay, let's go in.
All right.